Hi, everybody, and thank you again for remaining with us in this very good venue and conference today. So, the discussion about certification, and I will try, I know that this presentation is what's standing between all of us and the lunch, yeah? So try to make it quick and crispy. And I think what drives the certification today is a very simple common sense. Will you be, I will say, comfortable to go under the knife of a doctor if you are not sure that this gentleman is a doctor or lady is a doctor, yeah? So probably not, yeah? Same things will go for the aviation sectors. So will you be comfortable to board a plane knowing that the pilot is not licensed? So the same concept applied to security. The security, I think, suffered from a long time about a myth or a misconception, yeah? Relating the security to people who are not sometimes very qualified, yeah? But certification is getting more and more important, and I think that you will all agree with me that what we saw since this morning has one single thing which is common between most topics we addressed this morning around the peers and my colleagues, is that everything is relying on human resource, people, okay, security officer. So let me go through this. So as you saw, I'm the vice chairman of the ASIS chapters. Am I biased? Yeah, I'm biased, yeah, regarding this. So in fact, there is definitely, from ASIS point of view, there is a certification aspect to this. So law enforcement and the private sectors are sharing the same concept, yeah? We all protect the people, and we all protect assets. And this is, I think, very well known. So success, in fact, is going through what we call certification, and we have different certification for this. And what we want is that we go through the certification process, and as ASIS, which is since 1955, there is a need to have certification for different security officers. I think we went through this through SIRA, and we saw that they were the pioneer and the leader in this aspect regarding how you put a certain certification for certain people. And you can imagine if you take, for example, the Expo 2020, which was one of the biggest show, safety there was not by luck, okay? It was by design. It was through thousands of people who have been trained and thousands of systems who has been also put in place. And what we will see here is that you cannot assume that you are going to put a beautiful uniform and a warm body inside of it and expect excellence. It will not, okay? You will be deceived, in fact. And if you take, for example, what's happened on this is that you will have security officers, and we saw it this morning. We saw it through the cyberspace. We saw it through the hospitality industry. We saw it through the supply chain. And we are asking more and more from these invisible people who are the security officer to perform more and more tasks. So we cannot expect these people to perform this task without providing the right training, quite frankly. So there is a training which needs to happen, and there is some certification. And this certification, irrespective if you are following, depending on the country, or depending on the regulation. In UAE, we are fortunate enough to have SIRA. And globally, you have ASIS and other bodies on this. So you will go through different aspects. And it's starting from the beginning of the ladder to the senior position. So you have different certification for different role. And today, it's what we want to show, or what was on the brief, is that there is a need today to really invest and start investing on how we are managing our security officer and our certification on the security fields, yeah? So what we did is that, if I'm going to take you a very simple example as Unilever, okay? We are an FMCGs present in different countries. And irrespective of what we do, when COVID hit, the first things which came very quickly on the radar of the business was that we were in fact producing sanitizer. Okay, and I'll let you imagine. I'm not going to address the toilet paper crisis, which was on the word, but I'm going to tell you about sanitizer. And at this time, it was a big rush. despite all what you have in terms of sophistication in your factory, planning, finance, one key element which was not included in our operation was the security officer. Without the security officer being there and being, in fact, capable to handle the thermal scanning, yeah, to handle the CCTV, okay, today, to understand who was contaminated and not contaminated and the close contact. Without having that, your production line is going to stop, okay? You are going to stop producing. And this is the reality. So sometimes we do not really invest enough on how we certified our guard force, our security force, and our supervisor. And I think it's a big gap. And what I saw this morning is only reinforcing this belief that certification is getting extremely important now. It's important for the people who are starting now, okay, their career in security, but it's also important for law enforcement people and population who are moving from the law enforcement to the private sector. And if there's something which happened also after COVID, is that more and more people are following their purpose rather than their job. Okay, so they may have been auditor before or something different, and now they are really thinking of, okay, I'm probably going to do that because there's a big resignation, as you know, yeah? And regarding this, how these people today, in terms of security for our field, how do you want to support that? It's important to have a plan in certification and be sure that your security officer or your security manager or your investigator are fit for future. And what I'm hearing today is really about future. It's about digitalization. It's about being more skilled, more smart. And without certification, again, we are not going to be there. So this is, I will say, the concept which we want to discuss today. Of course, we are, as ASIS Dubai Chapter, we are really partnering with a lot of companies, okay? And I was very happy to see the Emirate Group Security, which is one of our sponsors, and also all the companies. And what we want is a lot of people and a lot of members of the security community to join. But my last word for you is that if there is anything we learned since I'm here, and I was fortunate enough to work in different countries, there is something which really impressed me here, is that the founding father of this nation, UAE, said one time that the real wealth of a country is not about the currency, is not about the oil you have, but it's about the human capital today. And I think it's more relevant today than any time before and after COVID. So I will end my brief on this, and I'm more than happy to address any question you may have. So we still have about 10 minutes on this. Please. So I assume it was very clear or very boring, but please. Yes.
In my country, Nigeria, we've had this big problem. And the challenge has always been that many years back, that once you come from law enforcement or from the military background, you have all you need to succeed in our industry. And unfortunately, our regulators also captured that. Like, you want to register a guard company, they insist that you must have someone from that background to be part of that process. So for many of us who come from the ASIS background, we know that certification is the key. And we've been fighting that must change. Because coming from that background does not give you that edge. It will give you the discipline, to give you the authority, but the knowledge and the skills to succeed in the industry will definitely be lacking. And that's why many of them, irrespective of the rank they've achieved, they still come and do the certification. And for those who have been able to cut over and have that certification, they do extremely well. But for those who refuse, they keep on having problems. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. So I believe it was not a question, but a statement.
Yes, a statement.
So thanks for that. And I cannot concur more than this. Today, I like to take the parallel between a psychologist and a psychiatrist. Okay, so when you have a psychiatric, okay, you have a doctor by nature, yeah, and you have a doctor trained, and normally you have a higher education, which is different from a psychologist. However, although they have different backgrounds, yeah, and one be seen as more senior than the others, okay, they cannot do the job each other. So they cannot do the job. The psychiatrist cannot do the job of the psychanalyst about mental health. The same concept apply today. You can be a very senior person on the law enforcement, yeah, and it's very good, but the conversion to the corporate world is different, okay? And we see it every day. We see it in different cross-industries, okay? And the reason behind this is very clear and very simple, to be quite frank, is that the objective of a law enforcement, okay, statistically is about arrest and criminality. The objective of a corporate security, it's about loss prevention and restitution most of the time. So there is a P&L, there is a financial aspect linked to that, which is not linked to the law enforcement. This is one amongst a lot of difference you can see. So, does it mean that a senior officer convert very well on security? Yeah, it may happen, and it happens very often. But you need also to give the tools for this population to be able to convert. Yeah? The law enforcement who started 20 years ago and will come now on what we saw this morning about metaverse, about machine learning, about AI, about intelligence, artificial intelligence. This is a lot. This is a lot. So today there is a school of thought about unlearning and relearning. And I think certification is part of it. For everybody, not only for the security sectors, there is definitely a need to reskill ourselves, and certification is part of it, to remain really fit for purpose with what I'll say promised to be a VUCA region. So it's a very chaotic worldwide situation today, and in all industries. And as we speak, certification remain, I think, more relevant. Any other question, please? Dr. Adil.
I totally agree with you regarding law enforcement coming into security, okay? Not that they are bad, only that they are not trained. Police is trained for policing. Army is trained for different function. Security is a totally different subject. So it doesn't mean somebody coming out of regular forces or the police or whatever, he will make a good security manager or security supervisor, whatever. But with the training and raising the standard, I go back to the initiative which is being done by the CEO of SIRA, which is talking about sort of global standardization of the security. Yes, you can adapt it to the local laws of the countries and the rest of it, but it needs all the regularity bodies around the world to work together in order to achieve that standard. And that standard could be, I mean, now we have a code in the UN for prison service. It doesn't have for private security. Why not? So is that something that possible that ASIS can contribute to that and work on that in the future so we can get everybody together and work to a standard? Then we don't have to go in every country, you find different standard, okay, and different level of service.
Thank you very much, Adil. So I think that we get the picture on this, and we saw it through different industries that more than ever, there is a need for certification, but also for standardization on how we operate today. But please, we still have some time if you have any other question.
Two-part question. First of all, there are different certifications on the cybersecurity side, and I just wonder whether you had any perspectives on, as a modern security professional, do you need to have certification in cyber as well as perhaps the more traditional physical security domains? And then secondly, a bit different, but do all staff in an organization need to be trained regularly, and do they need to achieve a certain certification, perhaps a participation in a course regularly? What's your views on that?
Okay, thank you very much, Matthew, and it's a very good question. So today, it's about, I think, the cyber world is not anymore a cyber. So we are living on the same. Cyber is part of our daily life, yeah, and it's part also of the life of our kids and families. And and I said it I think before, the security today, the security industries, is not about locks and glocks, yeah. It's not about guarding only, and we saw it through the aviation industry this morning, where these men and women are managing a very wide spectrum of, I would say, tools, process, but also crisis. And we have also some representative of big companies, and I think there is got a word on the back. So there is this company rose because they invested on the capital. And so, is there a need for the security officer and security industry to be more tech savvy? Definitely. And I think it's part of the convergence, okay, between physical and the cyberspace. Your security officer today is expected to be the face of the company. So you need to have some soft skill about customer. So the last things you want when you come to the hotel is to be welcomed by a security officer or lady who's saying, yeah, what do you want? Yeah, so you need to train these people on this. The second thing is that these people need also to manage CCTV. They also need to support your information security agenda in the office, and part of it is about clear desk policy. Okay, you don't want your latest IMS or loss and profit figures to lay down on the meeting room when you leave. So you need someone to ensure that there is nothing happening. And of course, we say that IT is doing that. It's not only IT responsibility. I think it's the responsibility of everybody. So do we need our security officer to have some training from a cyber point of view? Yes, I believe more than ever, because the future is digital. And the threat landscape is also changing today, okay? Regarding the employees, I will say on the corporate world, the big issue I see today is to make this appealing for our employees. When you invite people for training for security, safety, or cyber, you will really need to put a lot of efforts behind this to have a good attendance, yeah? And this is due to different reasons. Sometimes it's not very well planned, but most of the time, I say there is lack of awareness about this. So, do we need this? Yeah, we need that, because today, what we call the defense in depth, okay? If you are cyber or you are security, if you face a security or cyber threat, it's about a multi-layer. And part of this multi-layer, if of course your wall, it's of course your CCTV, your access control, but most importantly, it's about your people, because you can put all the cameras, all the access control. If you are a gentleman and you keep the door open to someone to enter in your office because you don't want to stay outside, you are defeating the purpose of all the system you invested. Yeah. So I believe that awareness and training of employees today is important more than ever, because security and safety is not only the responsibility of the security, but it's the responsibility of the whole community, security and not security. Please.
Sorry. Hi, Yacine. I'd just like to take your view and your take on in regards to the certification and in context of UAE, where we have a regulatory body like SIRA, who certifies physical security or anybody in a security business to operate as a professional, and compared to ASIS or CPP, even that's a certification. So what's the relevance and what's your take between two of them in the corporate sector to operate in terms of getting a certified license to operate as a professional security at any levels? What's your take?
Great, thanks again. It's a very tricky question, so you want to put me on trouble. But I'm going to try to be as diplomatic as I can. Regarding SIRA and ASIS, there is I would not see it as a competition, far from this. I would see it as a complementary, okay? Reason behind this is that SIRA is about regulation, yeah? So today, if you go through the SIRA, you will see that there is about 6 or 7 different certification, okay? From the security officer to the operation engineer to the security manager. And if you go to ASIS from another side, you will see that there is 4 certification from the APP, PSP, PCI, and CPP. And each of these certification address a certain need, okay? Because at the end of the day, there is no, certification is not here for the sake of certification. Yeah, it's good to have 3 letters after your name, but the reality is that your certification should match to what you want from it, okay? It's most of the time, it's a financial investment, okay? But it's also a time investment today. And if you take, for example, SIRA and ASIS, we work with SIRA, and there is a lot of commonality between both aspects, but depending what you want. And SIRA today is in UAE, okay? So if you are operating here and depending on certain regulation and certain industries, you should have SIRA. ASIS is worldwide, okay? You go in any countries. But again, the most important thing is what you want as a security practitioner, and what is the output, not only for you, but for the company, because sometimes the company, security has been seen for a long time as a cost center. I think that if there is anything which came out from the tragic last 2 years we had in terms of COVID, is that this pandemic brought opportunities for the security function to rise again and show what the value is, what can happen without security. And I think that what we saw this morning through different panels clearly reflect that the human factor in our future is here, and he is here to remain for a long time, irrespective of the buzzword you heard about IA and other technology. I'm not sure that I replied to your question. Yeah. So thank you very much. Please, we remain, and for the sake of the time, I will remain around with everybody and happy to address this. But thank you again for being so patient for me. Thank you.